Okay, the next model we're going to do is going to be a rocket. So I'm going to go and create a new scene, and I'm going to generate a curve so that I can create a rocket. So I'm going to actually hit on the space bar and go onto the side view. Hold Command and scoot over by holding the middle mouse button so that I have plenty of room to create my rocket. This time we're going to use a different kind of curve. It's called the CV curve tool. And if you remember in the prior exercise, the EP curve tool, every click we did, the curve was following exactly those points, just like it shows you onto this icon. What happens with the CV curve tool instead is you basically are going to be clicking 1 and 2, and there's no curve yet, it's just a straight line as you can see, and 3 and 4. And here we have the curve that is being generated. You notice that the clicks we did are sure driving the shape of the curve, but the curve does not fall onto those points. So I'm going to continue and eventually end my curve. There it is. So this is going to be the profile of my rocket. So what we got to do now is we're going to revolve. This time we're going to use NURBS instead of polygons. So I'm going to go again under surfaces as I was before, under surfaces revolve onto the option box. This time I'm going to reset actually to make sure we go back to the default, and the default is NURBS. So I'm going to say revolve. Oops, obviously what happens is we're revolving to the center of this interface. That means it's not really what we want. I'm going to actually hit on the space bar here, and you can see that what we did is not what we want. So I'm going to go back to my side view. I'm going to actually undo what I did prior, go back into surfaces revolve, and I completely forgot earlier that I'm actually revolving on the z-axis. So I'm going to hit Z right here, and I'm going to do the same thing and make sure it's NURBS. Yep, it is, and now I got what I needed, what I wanted. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go in my 3D view right here, and I want to create a cap, like a little lid in this area. And that right now is open. In fact, if I hit 5, you see the shaded view shows me that this area is open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this isoparm, and I'm going to create a planar surface in there. So I'm going to right mouse click and choose isoparm. And I want to be onto this component mode so that I can go in and select that isoparm right now. 1 second, sorry, my mouse got stuck. Oops. I'm going to actually re-specify isoparms. I don't think I did it. There it is. Sorry, I went on it, but I didn't release the mouse when I should have. So I selected my isoparm. I'm going to go back into surfaces, and this time I'm going to say planar. And sure enough, I'm closing that object, that side of the rocket. All right, so I'm going to go on to now the side view, and I'm going to create the profile for the nozzle. I'm going to hit Command and scoot over. Actually, I'm going to do Command, Control, and I'm going to zoom. So I'm going to be really where I need to be. This time I'm going to actually use the IP curve tool. I hit Q so that I don't see the manipulator to bug me. And I'm going to hit the IP curve tool just to show the difference between the two. And I'm going to click, 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 and click pretty much. And I'm going to hit return. What I need to do here is I need to have a duplicate, and then I'm going to connect the two. So I'm going to do Apple D, and I'm going to hit W, and now I'm going to move my object, my second curve down, and then I need to connect these two, and this time I'm going to use the snapping tools. Right here, these are all your snapping tools. This is actually the snap to point, and this is the snap to curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit again EP curve tool, and you could simply click on this button and then go in and connect the two pieces. Or I'm going to do Apple Z right now. I'm going to uncheck this, and if I hit actually C, and oh, sorry, I need to, say that I want to create a curve. I'm going to hit C right now, and I'm going to click and drag until when I get to the end of my curve, and do the same thing on this curve. And I'm going to hit return. So if you hit C, it will be on this temporary snap to curve mode, versus if you click on this button, it will be on that snap to curve, but then you have to remember to uncheck it. Okay, so now if I did take these 3 curves right now, so I'm going to go back in hierarchy mode and select my 3 curves. If I did that right now, I'm going to actually move them a little bit more out to the perimeter of my rocket. And if I now revolved these to obviously again the z-axis. I'm going to show you something that is not going to work, but I want you to see it. If I revolve it and then I go and look what happened, I see that one of the curves here is actually outside of my nozzle, is not correct. And the reason why, and I'm going to do Apple Z, is because my curves have a different pivot point. So I'm going to go onto the side view and I'll show you that if I click on this curve, the pivot point is right here, but if I click on this one, it's just below. And if I click on this one, is where the first one is. So what I want to do right now is I want to set the same pivot point for the three curves. So I'm going to select this object and I'm going to snap this time to grid right here. And I'm going to hit D. That allows me to click and drag and snap to what I want to, and I release the D. Now the D allows you to move the pivot point in a laptop, in a Mac laptop, but is the insert key on a PC or the home key on a desktop Mac. So on a PC is insert. You would want to hit insert, move your pivot point, hit insert again to get out of the command of moving the pivot point. On a Mac, you would use the home key, same story, you hit the home key, move the pivot point, and then hit home to get out. And on a laptop is the D. D is what I use. Okay, so now this one is set. I'm going to go and select the second curve, and I'm going to do the same thing. Hit D. Remember, we're still onto this snap to grid, so it's good. And then finally, I'm going to do it for this third one. So all of the three now have the same exact pivot point. So at this point, if I actually select and I do what I did earlier, I go in and revolve. Now remember, you want to revolve to the z-axis. That should still be there from the last time we did a revolve. Now if I actually go out into the perspective view, I can see that my nozzle looks like the way it should be. So what I need to do next is I need to, and by the way, we could have done what we did last time, that is kind of separates the curves from the surfaces, separate the layers, but we haven't. So maybe what we should do now is let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these surfaces, hold the shift key and select this one, and I'm going to say layers, create layer from selected. So now all my surfaces should be there. Oops, I forgot one. So I'm going to select this object, go on to my layer 1 and right mouse click and says add selected object. And now I'm going to select the curves and I'm make sure not to forget this little one. I'm going to hit the shift key and add them all. And then I'm going to say again, create layers from select. So now I have my surfaces and my curves on two separate layers. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go hit the space bar, go onto the top view, and I'm going to create the fin for this rocket. So I'm going to zoom a little bit closer, go a little bit down. I'm going to create it right here. Again, I'm going to use the EP curve tool, and I'm going to actually create an odd shape, it looks like, but it'll make a lot more sense when we actually complete it, finish it. And right now what I'm going to do is, if you notice, my objects is going to be created on this, actually on the floor, on the ground right here. So you want to actually move it out, and I'm going to actually Apple Z uncheck the snap to grid because it's actually going to get in the way. I'm going to go into the side view so I can see what I'm doing. Scoot it over a little bit by command middle mouse button. And now I'm going to move it up, and I'm actually going to rotate it. So I'm going to hit E, and maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to do modify center pivot, so that pivot point goes in the middle of my object, and I'm going to simply drag so that between the W and the E, I basically move my object a little bit to the outside. It doesn't have to be fully, but so now if I go and look in my perspective view, I can see that it's actually looking pretty good. What I need to do now is I need to duplicate this curve. So I'm going to do Apple D, and I'm going to move it out. So now I have two curves, but I want the top one to be smaller, and then I'm going to loft the two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the side view. Actually, I can see a little bit better what I'm doing. I'm going to obviously hit the R to scale it down quite a bit. And now if I select the two curves by hitting Q and holding the shift key, so I have my two curves selected, I can simply create a loft. So I'm going to go in surfaces, loft. So now if I go and look in my 3D view, that is what really helps me out generally, there we are, I can see that I have half of my my fin that is pretty nice. I need to mirror it to the other side, and I need to mirror it to the y-axis this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under, edit, duplicate special, and I'm going to go into this little box. And I'm going to, as usual, do reset settings, because you never know. So I forgot what I did last and what I could have set up here. If I go and I put -1 here, what it's going to do is it's going to mirror the object to the other side and make a copy. Here it says numbers of copy. In fact, if I say apply, there it is. I can see that just created that. I'm going to hit close, and I'm going to show you even better. So there we are. So what I can do right now is I can hold the shift key and select both surfaces and go under edit NURBS and attach the two. So if I go and I say attach surfaces, you'll see that right now it does it this way, and I could definitely do Apple Z and instead go attach surfaces and kind of finagle with the settings. And as usual, I generally do that because I obviously had messed up the settings. I'm creating a blend between the two, as you can see. We could have created a connect without creating the blend, but I do really want this top part to blend together and to become, united. So actually I'm going to say attach for now. What did it do? I made a mistake. Sorry, guys. I'm going to go back. Attach surfaces, blend, and I could actually kind of play with this kind of blend bias and see what happens if I say apply and attach. Actually, keep, remove, blend. It's actually not doing the blend as I want it to do, so that's why I'm trying again. Oh, that's my problem. My problem is I haven't selected my two surfaces. I was doing it without the two objects selected. I apologize. Okay, let's try once again. And it doesn't seem like it's doing the blend, that it bothers me a bit. Oh yeah, it does. Silly enough, I forgot that I have probably the keep originals there. Just always remember that. Yes, I should have unchecked the keep originals. That's my problem. I knew there was some settings in the way. Oftentimes is the case. These option boxes are beautiful, but they're also a bit complicated. There we are. So what I need to do right now is I'm going to go under the actually control vertices right here. And obviously I need to go onto this selection mode so I can indeed see them. And then I'm going to go onto the side view that really allows me to see what I'm doing. And what I would like to do honestly is I should have put this curve onto the curve layer. But I'm going to actually do this, hit W, and I'm actually going to move my fin so that it's going to look indeed like a fin. So I have to basically go and finagle with these CVs so that I move them, and eventually the fin of my rocket, it looks like a fin. I have here CVs that got left behind, as you guys can see, and that is a problem sometimes. There it is. I'm straightening it up. And I actually want to take that CV and that one on the very top and move them in a little bit more. Okay, so it's starting to look more and more like a fin, and I can obviously do a lot more work to it until when I'm fully content. But if I go in my 3D view, as you can see, it's starting to look pretty good. It does have here some issues that are related to the fact that there is an extra piece right there, that right here, this one. As I said, I could finagle with it a whole lot. For now, I'm going to leave it alone. What we want to do right now is we want to duplicate it 2 more times or 3 more times to go all around the rocket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my hierarchy mode right here. I'm going to go back to my duplicate special. And this time I'm going to say that I'm going to remove this -1. I'm going to say that I want 3 copies. And I want to rotate each 90 degrees. So let's see if it works as it should. And sure enough, it does. There it is. And now I have my rocket as I wanted it to be. As I said, I could have finagled a little bit better to create the top of the fin. But I do have a limited time in these videos in order to upload on YouTube. They have to be less than 15 minutes. So that's why I'm trying to a little bit get it finished. Alright guys, so this is how you create the rocket. As I said, what I would do is just go in very closely to this top part and kind of make sure that it looks exactly the way you want it to be. But our rocket is pretty much done. Alright.